Right in Orem, Utah, there is an entrepreneur that is quietly changing the way businesses do business. A few years ago, Jonas realized that entrepreneurs were drowning in tasks that kept them from focusing on the big picture. At the same time, highly skilled workers in the Philippines were searching for life-changing job opportunities. So, frustrated with all of the options to hire overseas, John decided to bridge the gap. He created a job board called OnlineJobs.Ph that was the perfect solution for people who just wanted to get in, hire someone skilled, and move on with their lives and grow their business. But this isn't just about the outsourcing, it's about giving entrepreneurs the freedom to buy back their time and providing Filipino workers with meaningful careers. So today's episode is about how John grew this from an idea to now a company that does 8 figures annually with only him, a business partner, and a team of Filipino workers overseas. Guys, I really enjoyed this one. All this and more on this episode of UtahPreneur. John, thanks for being here.
Yeah. Hey, thanks for having me.
Thanks for, we're in OnlineJobs.Ph world headquarters here. Your house, which very gracious of you to invite us in. We really appreciate it. Why don't you give us like 30 seconds to a minute on your early life? Like, where were you born? How did you end up, where you are now?
I grew up in LA. I am the oldest of 7. I came to BYU when I was 18.
Nice.
And I never left.
Okay.
So I'm here in Utah. Yeah.
Nice. Just loved Happy Valley that much.
It's great. I love it. I really do.
Very cool.
Yeah.
There's nothing like the proximity to the mountains, especially where you guys are.
It's so amazing.
It's very cool. So take us back to 2007. What's John Jonas up to, and how does the idea for OnlineJobs.Ph come?
Yeah. So I was running some internet businesses is what, I don't know what else to call it. Affiliate marketing, SEO. They were mostly temporary things. And I knew that, but I wasn't sure what the next thing was. And I got some really good advice in 2005 towards hiring someone in the Philippines. I was talking with the owner of backcountry.com.
Nice.
John Brzee. He passed away a few years ago. And he said, when you're ready to start outsourcing some of this stuff, make sure you go to the Philippines with it. And I was like, that's odd, right? Why? He says, well, because in India, when you tell them something and they say yes, that means yes, I heard something come out of your mouth. It doesn't mean, yes, I understood what you said. Like, okay, that's weird. And I hired someone, and it was the most liberating experience of my life. This guy's full-time job was to do anything I asked him to do. That was 2005. Come 2007, I had been in a mastermind for a few years, and people were just asking, how's this working for you? Why is this working? What's going on? I found we had a phone call every week. Every single week we were talking about it. Like, guys, I've already told you this. So I put an audio, I recorded myself talking for 45 minutes, put it out there, and it went crazy. People wanted it. 2007, I started like formally teaching. Here's how I'm doing this. Here's what I'm doing. I didn't really know anything.
And that audio you put out was just how to hire from the Philippines.
Yeah, how and why. Like, at least my opinion, my experience so far of why, right?
Mm-hmm.
I had 18 months of experience.
Yeah.
Right. But nobody else knew. Nobody else had any idea. And what I found in the Philippines was just so different than what I had experienced at Elance, which is now Upwork, locally, or in India, right? It was just so different. And it was working really well. I started teaching it. That went crazy, which was really great.
You were like selling a course on it, or just
I was selling a course and selling done-for-you trainings. Like, you want to hire someone, here's how to do SEO. Give this training to the people you're hiring.
Oh,
here's how you write content, whatever. I had a bunch of trainings. And I would tell them how to hire people, and it sucked. Like, you go to an agency, they suck. There was one website that was kind of a job board, but the owners were crazy and would kick us off. Like, you can't hire from the Philippines. You're not Filipino. You can't do this. Like, what are you talking about? And over again, they'd kick us off. And in 2008, I was like, I just want to hire someone on my own. I just want to recruit someone on my own. I don't want someone else in the middle. I don't want a middleman. I don't want an agency giving me someone off the street telling me, oh, here's your expert webmaster, when really they knew nothing, which happened over and over again. I want to do it on my own. And I thought maybe I'll build a job board and see if I could get a couple hundred profiles in so I could recruit someone. And when I launched it in early 2009, we got a couple hundred profiles in the first month, and it grew every month since. So like, we're getting 65,000 profiles every month now.
It wasn't really like, hey, I'm like so excited about this. This is my magnum opus now, right?
No, not at all.
How did you eventually get to that point?
Yeah, it took me years because, so I built it and I built what I wanted.
Mm-hmm.
Like I built what I was looking for. And so I would use it to recruit, and I was teaching other people. And so I would tell them, hey, here's a great place to hire people, right? I ignored it for like 5 years.
And it was free at that point.
No, it was paid,
Okay.
but I was still ignoring it.
Yeah.
Like it, I mean, I would deal with things, but I wasn't trying to improve it. It was just, it sucked. I mean, it didn't suck, but
yeah,
it was the only thing that existed.
Yeah.
Right. And in 2013, I looked at it one day and was like, this thing's really big. And it sucks. I should spend some time on it. And I was pushing people to it.
Yeah.
Right. And so, I knew what was going on with it, but we had made very few improvements.
And you were mainly just focusing on selling the
On
coaching
teaching,
and teaching.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I mean, because that's what people wanted. Everyone was asking me. People would come to me saying, hey, come teach my audience. Right.
Yeah.
So I was doing that, and it was great. And I slowly switched to just working on online jobs. I didn't stop teaching it, but I stopped a lot of the teaching of it and automated most of that and put the content out there. I'm still putting the content out there.
Yeah.
And started focusing on online jobs and like, what should this platform be? What should it look like?
And was the monetization model the same from the very beginning?
Yeah.
Same price?
It was $49 a month, and now it's $69.
Okay.
But that's it. We raised it one time in 2018.
Okay.
So it had been almost 10 years.
Wow.
And the monetization model was what I wanted.
Like
that was the model that I wanted for myself.
Yeah.
And so that's what I built.
We talked about this a little before, and I wanted to bring it up. So when you look at your competitors, someone like Upwork or someone like Support Shepherd, which is now Somewhere, which are primarily free, and then we charge you on the back end either a headhunting fee or a percentage of every single transaction, which, don't get me started on how I feel about that. Because it's not only the employer, but also the employee getting, like garnished 30%
I have
or
some
whatever.
really strong feelings on this.
Yeah, let's hear it.
I'll start with Upwork.
Yeah.
The whole premise of Upwork, from the very beginning, like from Elance, from when it was Elance and Odesk, two different companies that merge into Upwork.
Yeah.
The whole premise is turnover. And people don't think about that. Like all you think about, you're going to find talent. But the reality is it's all based on reviews. In order to get a review, you have to get a job, finish the job, get paid and get a review and move on so that you can get a higher paying job. It's all based on turnover, which for any business is a terrible proposition, right? And now Upwork allows you to keep people longer term, but it's still based on turnover.
Yeah.
Right? It's still based on that person having multiple jobs, right?
Building a resume.
Yeah, but which is terrible. It's terrible for you, right? And then the fees. I had someone complain to me a couple weeks ago saying, I don't like your business model. Upwork is free. I'm like, really? Like, you've never really looked at this, have you? Upwork charges you 10%. And they charge the worker 10%. Which is real, and this is where I really don't like it. Like, okay, 20%, fine, whatever. But when that person in the Philippines is making $800 a month full-time work, and you take 10% from them and 10% from you, so they know there's 20% waste here. They could be getting $1,000. That $200 is a really big deal.
Yeah,
it's a big. That's groceries for a month. Like that feeds their children. That's hard to stomach.
Yeah.
When there's so much waste going on and they don't like it.
What are their models? By the way, Upwork, I think, charges 30% on the first deal.
The first
project.
It's rough.
To the freelancer.
Yeah.
What are some other models you've seen, and why didn't you like them, and why do you like yours? Like,
Support Shepherd. Yeah. There's two other models. There's three other models. One of them is you fly to the Philippines and try and find someone. That's a terrible model.
Stand there with a sign in the street.
Yeah, right. So you have the agency model and Support Shepherd, or the headhunter model. Yeah. This is hard. What we have found over and over and over again, like I'm pretty good at recruiting, When I go to find someone, I know I'm going to find someone good every time. The model of the incentive structure for an agency and for Support Shepherd is not what you think it is. It's not to find you someone great. That's what it seems like it would be. But the problem with when these relationships don't work out with a VA and an employer, the problem is usually with the employer. And they know that. And so their incentive isn't to find you someone great because you suck. So their incentive is to test you, is to just pull someone off the street and see if you make it work. If you make it work, then great. They did as little work as possible and get paid, right? The other side is that you're not. So in the US, we often think that people overseas, we don't trust them. They're robots. They're there to steal our stuff, right? When the reality is it's a human. They're people with families and problems and needs and feelings and personalities. And you're not hiring a skill. And as a recruiter, you can't hire personality for a personality match because you're not the employer. Yeah, you can do personality tests and whatever. It's just really hard.
Yeah.
And so you hire a skill and hope it works out. And the incentive, again, isn't to hire a skill with a personality that matches because that employer may or may not make it work, especially when the employer has very little skin in the game.
Yeah.
So what we found is if you make it easy for people, then they're really good at recruiting for themselves. You give them a large, good quality talent pool and they're really good at it.
Yeah.
Like you'd be good at finding your own people.
It seems like the agency model is a little predatory, where at least from what I've seen, they're preying on these people that don't know what they don't know. They're like, we're going to fix all your problems. And then, like you said, pulling somebody that, they probably know isn't going to work out.
So most people don't know when, like, you hire an agency, you're paying them, I don't know, $1,800 a month, $2,400 a month, whatever. You don't realize they're paying that person $600 a month. So they're marking them up 3 times, 4 times, 2 times, whatever. You don't realize that until you realize it. Then you're like, holy crap, I thought this guy was making like $1,500 a month. No. Like the first people I hired, I was paying them $750. They were paying them $250. I had no idea. They had no idea, the people in the Philippines. When they found out, they were upset.
Yeah.
And quit.
Yeah.
The next day.
So, yeah, it seems like what you've come in and done is this education piece, which fixes all of these problems if the employer is willing to actually do the work on themselves that they need to be the right fit long term.
Yeah. Like we're not a middleman. We don't mark up salaries. We charge you upfront for access to the database. We offer 100% guarantee, money back guarantee. You don't find someone great, we'll give you your money back. But what we see is every single day, people who are with an agency and then they find out about online jobs, they never go back. People are with Upwork for years and years and years and then find out about online jobs and they never go back.
Yeah. What's the average length of time a OnlineJobs.Ph customer stays?
Most people pay for a month and then hire someone and cancel.
Yeah.
And in 7 months, when they're ready to hire again, they come back and pay for a month and cancel, which is what we encourage.
Yeah.
So what's the average length of time? Years and years and years. It's people coming back over and over and over and over again.
Yeah.
Like people that were there in the first month that we launched in 2009 are still coming back.
Yeah.
Hiring more people.
I see.
I just spent this weekend with someone who has 64 people. He's spent millions of dollars on Upwork.
Okay.
And he found us 4 weeks ago and is now canceling everybody on Upwork.
Wow.
And is changing everything over, right? But most of our customers are like small business owners. They're hiring their first person and then they're hiring their second person and they're hiring their fourth person and their 10th person.
Yeah.
They're growing with people in the Philippines.
Yeah. And just using OnlineJobs.Ph when they need it. They need it.
Yeah.
Makes sense. So I was doing some research on the way over here and realized that the 4-hour work week was written in 2007. And did that influence the start of Online Jobs at all? When did you read the book for the first time and what did it unlock for you or not? And how do you feel like it influenced the growth of Online Jobs?
So it didn't influence building online jobs. I must have read it in 2007 because I know in 2008, I took my first mini retirement. That's really where it influenced me.
Nice.
We went to Costa Rica for a month with our 3 little kids and sat on a beach for a month. And then I did it multiple other times. And we're still doing that.
Yeah.
Has that driven online jobs? Probably some. I mean, I know that Tim Ferriss recommends online jobs. He changed from his recommendation to online jobs later.
So like his current list of recommendations, because I believe the first, I can't even find the ones he recommended in the first edition anymore.
Yeah, it was like
YMII, I think.
Ask Sunday.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know that. I have no idea if it still exists.
Yeah.
And then on his website later, he was promoting online jobs.
I'm just curious because that book, it's just like so in the ethos of this entire sphere.
Yeah.
Do you hear it mentioned a lot? Do you feel like you rode a wave that started because of it or partially because of it?
When I read it, I just kept thinking, this is my life. He's describing my life. He's just done it wrong because he was using an agency model.
Yeah.
And I recognized like he's doing this wrong.
Yeah.
Which like hiring in the Philippines was so new then. Everybody was talking about India. And he changed.
Yeah.
The wave that I feel like we rode was the world changing from India to the Philippines. Because in 2005, 6, 7, everything was India.
Yeah.
There was this thought that, there's 1 billion people in India and some of them speak English. You've got to be able to find really great talent there. Nobody considered the cultural differences and how difficult they make it. And I just watched the world's outsourcing change from India to the Philippines slowly over time. And if you get on the phone now with someone not in the US, they're in the Philippines.
Yeah, it's true. So along that vein, can you give us like a 5-minute masterclass on hiring from the Philippines?
Sure.
Why, how?
Sure.
This has been, coming up on 20 years of you doing it. So you obviously know a thing or two. You've taught thousands of people. What are the main principles that can help set people up for success?
Okay, so this is going to be different. I'm a little bit controversial on this.
Okay.
Because most people's advice is stick with what you're good at and outsource everything else. And I think that is terrible advice. You should be the CEO of your business and you should be outsourcing everything else. Or not outsourcing, insourcing. You should be bringing people into your company. They are full-time staff. They just live overseas. So to do that, the first person you hire should be to do something that you know how to do. And that's the key here is everybody wants, I need to build a website. I'm going to hire someone to build my website. You have no clue. It's hard, right? So that's why you pay an agency $40,000 to do it instead of someone full-time $800 a month to do it, right? So the first principle of how to hire someone is to buy back your time. Dan Martell wrote the book, Buy Back Your Time. And I love that phrase, hire to buy back your time. So then you know your role, the role that you're hiring because you know how to do this thing. You're going to teach someone to do it, or you're going to give enough feedback to get them doing it right. You know what to put in your job post. You know what their skills look like. You know what the outcomes look like. You know what feedback look. It just makes this whole process so much easier. So here's the process. You go to OnlineJobs.Ph. The first thing you do is you're going to look at profiles. So we have over 3.5 million profiles. And you're just going to search your role, SEO. You're going to search social media. You're going to search appointment setter, cold caller, graphic design, whatever it is. And you're going to look at 10, 20, 30 profiles and just see what exists. And you're looking for 2 things. You're looking at salary, like how much are people asking to make in this role that I'm here for, right? Are they asking to make $500 a month? They're asking to make $1,500 a month. And those are like full-time numbers, right? The second thing you're looking for is, can I find this skill and what are the related skills that people are saying? And what am I really looking for? Because you'll find as you go to look at this is usually a really eye-opening experience when you go and search online jobs for the first time. You search for graphic design and you find someone is good at graphic design and video editing. And you're like, actually, that's cool, right? I could use that. So then the next step is you're going to post a job. And like I said, you already know what your job post looks like because you're hiring for someone to do something you know how to do.
Mm-hmm.
And when you post that job, I have a couple thoughts. So number one, the more technical the job is, or the more specialized, the more high level this job is, the less you should rely on a job post and the more you need to actively contact people. So at Online Jobs, you can post your job and people will apply to your job, or you can search profiles and like click contact and actively reach out to people and say, hey, are you interested in work? A profile on Online Jobs does not mean they're looking for work.
Mm.
It's like a profile on Indeed.com or on LinkedIn, right? That doesn't mean they're available.
Yeah.
But you can reach out to people. So reach out to 10 people, post your job. People will apply. No, you have a big pool of candidates. People always want to hire the best person, and that's a misnomer. There's no such thing as the best. There's the best available. There's the best fit, right? You're not hiring a skill. You're hiring a person. A couple other things within that. So when you post your job, I always require 2 things in my job post, and my job posts are not super detailed. I don't have this long of a job post. I have this long of a job post, right? It's 2 paragraphs. And in that, I'm going to say, hey, when you apply, make your title my role name dash your name, right? Something specific so I make sure they read. The second thing I'm doing is I'm going to ask them to use a specific number of apply points, which is an online job specific thing, super effective at weeding out poor applicants and keeping the ones that are really high quality. Use 8 apply points in your job post, something like that, right? So now you have a bunch of applicants. The correct thing to do is not jump to a video interview. Everybody wants to jump to a video interview. Get on Zoom. That's a mistake. Filipinos don't necessarily want to do that. I mean, they don't want to do that. And if you jump to the video interview, you are excluding really good SEO people in favor of people who are comfortable on camera, right? And that's a mistake. So I will interview people through email. And there's a bunch of reasons why. Number one, when I work with people, I'm going to work with them virtually, like through email, project management, text, whatever. I'm not going to work with them through video calls every day, right? So I'm going to interview them the same way I work with them. Number 2, I'm going to ask 1, 2, 3, 4 questions in an email, and I'm going to do that 4, 5, 6 times. And I'm going to see how quickly do you respond? Because if it takes you 3 days to respond in the interview process, it's going to take you 3 days afterwards.
Yep.
I'm looking to see, I asked you 4 questions. Did you only answer 3 of them? Because if you only answered 3, then I'm going to give you 4 tasks later, and you're only going to do 3 of them. And that 4th task is going to get lost to me because that's how I work. That doesn't work for me. I'm looking for any red flags that might happen. I'm looking for AI use. Not that AI use is bad. I just want to know, right? I want to know the situation. And then you get a really good idea of personality in this and how well do we work together. I'm probably going to give a test task towards the end of this. And part of this process, the point is to gain trust. So we go into this often thinking, I don't know if I can trust this person I can hire. How do I find someone I can trust, right? They come into this thinking, I don't trust this boss. And their feeling of distrust is stronger than yours.
Yeah.
Which is, that's really different for most people. Like, this person you're hiring doesn't trust you. And you have to do things to gain their trust, or it's just not going to work well. So now you've interviewed, what you'll find is people drop themselves out. You'll drop people out. You'll find a really good feeling towards a bunch of people. You give them a test task. And the goal of that test isn't to get things done. It's to see how well do they follow instructions? How well do you work together? How creative are they? Typically, when I'm hiring people, there's 2 different things. I'm either hiring for experience or for young and hungry. And most roles, I want someone who's young and hungry. You can learn anything today, right? YouTube will teach you anything. And so like social media management, I want someone who's young and hungry. Graphic design, even like there's an eye for design and there's experience with design. So there's a balance there. Programming. Yeah. I want someone who's really good. I don't want to teach you programming. Yeah. Right. I want someone experienced, but most roles, I want someone young and hungry. And so I'm going to test for that. Like I want to see how active are you? Are you responding? Are you paying attention? Are you, right. All of those things. Run the test, see how you work with people. And then You can negotiate and hire. And typically it's like, when can you start? I can start tomorrow. Okay, here's my first task, right? Here's your first task. And there's not really much more. You can do an NDA. You can do a contract. You don't have to. There are no government requirements here, at least certainly not in the US. There's no 1099 to send. There's no insurance requirements. There's no compliance. There's no taxes.
Yeah.
Right. So you can just start tomorrow.
And you recommend paying monthly, right?
Yes. So we pay most of our people monthly. Some of them we pay every 2 weeks, or like on the 1st and the 15th. I recommend the first time you hire someone, you pay them weekly for the first couple months so that they trust you. So that they know. In the Philippines, they're very, very scared of doing work and not getting paid. They're very scared of getting scammed. So when you do a test task, you need to tell them, I'm going to pay you for this. You're going to pay you $20, or I'm going to, whatever your hourly rate is for 3 hours, whatever, right? And then after you pay them for the first couple months, I suggest weekly so that they know you're not trying to get a bunch of work done and scam them. After that, you can change to whatever you want.
Talk to us about the cultural ethos of working online in the Philippines. Because I think similar to a lot of American, like make money online quick, there's kind of that vibe there. And a lot of people end up applying, saying they have skills that are not the skills that they can actually put into practice in the job. And they get in over their heads, they ghost the employer, and that may be, some of the experience of the people listening to this. What would you say, what should we understand about the Filipino people and how to avoid a situation like that?
So it's less, I would say that situation is less about the Filipino people as it is about your recruiting. If you recruit well, you should not have this problem.
Yeah.
So there is right now, and this is recent, like the last couple of years, hustle culture. Not that hustle culture is new, but with online work it is, because you have these social media influencers who are selling courses in the Philippines, making huge promises, and they're very compelling. You're going to make $10 an hour. And for people that have the minimum wage is $1.70 in the Philippines, right?
Yeah.
For people that are making $1.70, which is pretty common to hear, I can make $10 an hour really easily, because that's what social media influencers are talking about. They're applying with AI. They're getting it over their heads. But again, if you recruit well, that shouldn't be the problem.
And that's the purpose of the email exchange.
That's the purpose. So the other side of it is the Philippines is a very highly educated workforce. There's 100 million people in the Philippines, which is interesting to most people. Like there's 300 million in the US. There's 100 million in the Philippines. English is an official language. There's 2 official languages, Tagalog and English. So most people, everybody you meet will speak English. They may not speak it fluently, but they'll speak it well enough. Making $500 a month is not sufficient to survive in most places. Certainly not in Manila, not in Cebu. If you're living out in the provinces, out on a farm, then that's enough to survive. And you can certainly find people like that. They're lesser and lesser. And if you want someone experienced, you have to pay for it, right? So today you're looking at $8,000, $9,000, $1,000 a month to $1,100, $1,200 a month, right? Depending on what. And if you're going to pay those wages and you recruit well, then that whole concept of they're overstating their abilities and you hire them and they disappear shouldn't happen.
What other cultural nuances can happen even if they recruit well, something that an American employer would do that the Filipino would not?
Yeah, that's really good. Okay, so in the Philippines, they don't want to lose face. And that's a really big deal for them. And so if they don't trust you that they're not going to lose face, this is what really causes them to disappear, which is when you say like they get in over their heads, they disappear. It's because they're worried they're going to get embarrassed. They're going to disappoint you. They don't want to as a culture, they're very pleasing. They want to make people happy. When they feel like they're going to let you down, they disappear. When they feel like you're going to be mad at them, if you have yelled at them, it's what's going to cause them to disappear, right? So the way to prevent this, a couple of things you do to prevent this. Number one, you gain their trust. You have to do things to gain their trust in you. It turns out that trusting them is actually really easy. They're very trustworthy in general. They're very loyal. Punishments in the Philippines are really harsh for like theft, and digital punishments are double what normal punishments are. So they really don't want to steal from you. It's a last resort for them. And typically when I see that, it's because an employer has gotten them to do work and not paid them, right? The real big cultural mistake is like assuming that you're teaching them well, or you've given them a job and what you gave them was really clear and that they should just do the work and shut their mouths, or, like assuming they're a robot is the real problem.
Yeah.
Usually when I see this problem, like, oh, they disappeared, it was so obvious what to do. And then an employer sends me their instructions and I'm like, dude, I have no clue what you're asking for here.
Yeah.
Right. You think it's super clear. It's not. Yeah. So if you recruit well and don't just hire the first person, don't just jump on a video interview and get someone who is good at video interviewing and not actually with the skills. And then you do specific things to gain their trust. You shouldn't have this problem. I mean, I've seen hundreds of thousands of people do this successfully, and people have problems, but it's really not that hard.
You mentioned that your job posts aren't very long.
Yeah.
Just 2 paragraphs. Is there something you always make sure to include there? Or is it different every time?
Don't overthink it. Too many people are overthinking this and making it really difficult on themselves. Too many people procrastinate it because they're like, oh, I got to write this job post. I have to come up with policies and procedures and every single task I'm going to have them. No. Hire for a role. You're hiring a customer support person. Start down the process. Give them one task. Usually I'll say, hey, I'm hiring a PHP programmer. I would like you to have this skill. When you apply with apply points, right? It's pretty simple. I'm hiring a copywriter, a sales copywriter. When you apply, write me a paragraph. They're really simple job posts.
Yeah. One time I did, the secret word was lasagna. And the guy said, I love lasagna. Both like this type and this type. Made me chuckle.
And that's okay. So that's a really great, like, you ask them to include a secret word.
Yeah.
And you'll typically get 3 things. One of 3, right? They don't include it. Ignore them.
Perfect.
Right. Delete. Number 2, they include it and that's the end of it. Right. And I will do this both in the job post and later on I'll ask them a question. Hey, attach a picture of a pink Cadillac. Right. They don't do it. They do it, or they question it. I really love when they question it. Like, you asked me to include a picture of a pink Cadillac. Why? That was weird. Sweet. I really like that response. You're questioning authority.
Yeah.
I like it.
You have been known to say that you work about 17 hours a week and have for the period of like since starting online jobs.
Yeah.
How did you calculate the 17 hours? And what do those hours typically look like? What did they look like back in the day? And how has that evolved over time?
It's just a guess.
Okay.
I have no idea. If I get to 20 hours in a week, that's super sweet. It's rare.
Okay. That's like, you're like, man, I gotta go take a nap.
Yeah, 20 hours. Take a nap. No, I haven't skied enough this week. I need to get out and ski more.
Okay.
So the story actually is interesting how I got there. In 2007, my wife is 7 months pregnant with our 3rd child. And we go to the doctor's appointment and he says, you have preeclampsia. And if you don't go on strict bed rest for the next 3 to 5 weeks, you're going to have a seizure and lose this baby. And on the way home, I was like, oh my gosh, I have to stop working. I'm running my own business. And I got home and I wrote an email to these 2 guys in the Philippines and then a separate one to my business partner and said, hey, here's the situation. I can't work. I have 2 other kids. I got to take care of them. And I need you guys to take over everything I'm doing. So these 2 guys in the Philippines that have been working for me, and I don't want you to think that I just pulled these guys off the street and all of a sudden they're running my business, and that's not what happened. They had been with me for about 18 months, but they took over what I was doing in the business. They took over customer support. They took over my AdWords account. They took over my blog and comments and all kinds of stuff, right? And then for the next 3 weeks, I worked like 1 hour. I took my kids to the golf course every day, and my wife was on bed rest, and I made dinner or whatever, right? My wife had the baby. 3 weeks later, she had some postpartum problems. For 2 months, I did very little, right? So for 3 months, I didn't do anything because I couldn't. And I was in a really good situation where I could walk away. And I was forced to, which was the biggest blessing in my life ever. And during that time, I learned, oh, wow, these people are really, really capable. Like they're intelligent. Because before that, I just thought what everybody else thinks. They can only do exact task following instructions. No, that's not the case. They want to think, they want to contribute, they want to be really great. And so I never went back to work full time after that. So what does my typical day work like? Well, then when I went back to work, and now I just started making assignments every day. And when I found that I couldn't make an assignment, then I would hire someone. I would hire someone so that I wasn't doing that thing. Like when I said hire to buy back your time, that's really what I do. So the only things I do are think and solve problems, and then make assignments, give instructions, give feedback, give direction. So when I sit at my computer, there is no Facebook, there is no YouTube, there's no distractions. I work for an hour, I work for a couple hours, and I'm just very, very productive at giving people the instructions and the assignments and looking at the problems that we have and coming up with solutions and then giving assignments. And I'll just add to that.
Yeah.
So I have a really good team.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't always that way. And that held me back on like, oh, I feel like we should be doing this thing. We should be publishing YouTube videos, but I don't have a way to do that. So I would do it myself and try and make takes over and over and over and over and over again before I could find a video editor, before I realized like, oh, I can hire a video editor really easily. And I hired a video editor. And then all of a sudden it was like, oh yeah, I can make these videos really easily. I didn't always have that team. As I've built the team, we do more and more things, and making assignments becomes easier and easier. And part of that is because they work for me. They're full-time. They just work for me. If they're not busy full-time, well, I can give them more. We can do more things. I can just make more assignments.
And when you say like this situation with your wife, the end of the pregnancy, that was the biggest blessing in your life. What if that didn't happen? Do you think eventually you would have gotten to the point where you trusted the people enough and you stepped back like that? Or do you think that forcing function was the only way it would have happened?
So I think I would have gotten there. Over the years, I've realized that I'm very driven by time freedom. A lot of people are driven by relationships or by social, by fame or by money. I'm very driven by time freedom. So I think I would have gotten there, but I don't know when or how. I was forced into it, which was super awesome.
Yeah. And that was what year?
2007.
Wow.
Yeah.
So that was the very beginning.
So I launched OnlineJobs.Ph in 2009. I started building it in 2008. And yeah, I didn't build it. I graduated in computer science.
Yeah.
I contributed a tiny bit to the code.
Yeah.
Because I was still writing code then.
Yeah.
But I hired someone in the Philippines to build it. He built it, which was super awesome. And he also designed it, which was super awesome to find a programmer designer at the same. And it wasn't super well designed, but yeah, he built it. And then we hired other programmers to continue and more to continue. And
yeah, that's when I've grown to become skeptical as well as programmer and designer. You're probably like,
you're
probably only good at one of those.
Super rare to find someone that's good at both. And he actually is pretty good at both.
Nice.
Yeah. Interesting.
I think you've probably built one of the highest margin businesses on earth. Would you agree with that?
It's pretty high.
Like you have what, 30 to 40 team members in the Philippines?
We have almost 50.
Okay.
And like our monthly payroll it's probably, I actually don't have any idea. It's probably like $50,000 a month.
Yeah. Spoken like a true 17-hour work week, man.
Yeah, I have no idea. I actually have no idea. I don't do that.
And then other costs are like servers.
Affiliates.
Okay.
Payment, merchant processing.
Right. And you guys recently passed like 8 figures in annual revenue, right?
Yeah. A couple of years ago. Yeah.
That was during COVID.
Yeah.
I've observed this in the world. I haven't really had it happen to myself yet. Maybe I just haven't stumbled on this idea, but when you put an idea out there that's going to be big, it's big in spite of you.
Yeah.
It doesn't need a ton of marketing. It doesn't need all this like rah behind it. It's just going to grow anyway. And then if you throw some great marketing, you throw a great team behind it, that accelerates growth. When did you know Online Jobs was that idea?
No. That's not at all what happened. I solved a problem.
Mm-hmm.
I had a need.
Yeah.
So I talked to my business partner and I said, hey, I want to build this job platform. And I think it could be kind of big. I don't know that, but I think. He's like, I don't think so. That could never be as big as what we're currently doing. Right. And we built it and put it out there and it was small and it started to grow and it just grew and grew and grew and grew. And like I said, I waited 5 years before I anything with it. Right.
Yeah.
And at that point it had come close to what we were doing elsewhere. Right. So when you say like, when did I know this idea? No, I didn't know. I never knew that this idea was.
Maybe like last year, you were like,
Well, like a couple of years, it's been a couple of years. So when you say like it grows in spite of you, yeah, that's kind of what has happened. I mean, yeah, I've done a lot of stuff to help it. But when you solve a problem that people have, when you put something out that it's different and is better, it's better than what other options there are, right?
It's the sour taste in the consumer's mouth eventually.
Yeah.
That, those platforms are successful, but you guys there's at no point are they like, wow, online jobs really screwed me over.
Yeah. Yeah. They got so much of my money.
Yeah.
No, you pay that person directly. That person loves it. Yeah. Right. So yeah, like I think when you put something out there it's what people want and it solves a problem, your chances of it succeeding are really high.
Yeah. What are some of your favorite success stories from friends or people that have used the platform? Like they were really struggling before they hired this Filipino employee and like everything changed overnight, or maybe there's something interesting that happened there.
I don't even have a favorite one of those.
Okay.
Because so like if I look at my neighbors, right?
Yeah.
So like there's one right here that has people that work for him. There's one right here that he just told me, oh, we just hired our third. There's one over here. There's one down the street. The one down the street came to me. He sent me a text one day and said, hey, I want to talk to you about your VAs. And I sent him some content and he hired someone and he was like, John, this is amazing. Awesome. I'm so glad it's working for you. A number of months later, he pulls me aside in church and says, hey, we just hired our fifth person. What? Really? What? Yeah, it's changed our business. It's super awesome. I love it. Like that is really cool, right? I had no idea. Good friend of mine. He's not talking to me about it.
Yeah.
But it's changing his business.
Yeah.
I had someone come to me one time. She runs a horse farm in Pennsylvania. Like small stuff. And she says, I've been trying to do these things for 2 years and have gotten more done in the last 3 weeks with the person I hired from Online Jobs than I have in 2 years. And it's changing my business.
Amazing.
That is super awesome. But that's not my favorite. My favorite are the stories we get from people in the Philippines of like this guy who, when he was 8, his mom told him they were going to McDonald's. She woke him up really early and put him in a van and they drove and he was watching out the window. He's watching out the window and there's McDonald's and they drive right past it. And they drive all day and they get to a building and they get out and he goes in and there's a whole bunch of beds and and his mom's not there and he doesn't realize he's in an orphanage. He's been abandoned because his mom couldn't pay for him. He grows up an orphan and he works hard. And today he's an accountant working online for a foreign employer and is taking care of his kids and his wife and his mom. He repaired the relationship with his mom and like generational changes here. His parents, his children, their children. Those are the stories that like I know someone who he's working for $400 a month part-time while he finishes high school. He's like 22, but he's finishing high school right now because he was abandoned at 16 and ended up living on his own and going into the forest to forage for vegetables so he could take them to the market so he could make $1 or $2 and eat for the day. But he's learning English. He speaks English and has no skills. But that he would eat once a day, maybe twice a day. Just a terrible, terrible life. Wants to serve as a missionary, but he needs to pay for it. So he gets someone to go 3 days walk into the forest. He's climbing these trees that are 100 feet tall to pull down orchids, rare flowers in the Philippines. He says he's out on these branches that are so thin and so high up, he's crying and praying that he doesn't die. After 3 days there, and then 3 days back, he sells them all and makes $60 to pay for what he needs. And it's hard. He makes $60 and pays for his stuff and goes and serves as a missionary and learns English better, gets a job making $400 a month, and it is life-changing for him. Like, again, generational life-changing. This is generational poverty that he's going to change.
Yeah. Thanks for sharing those.
So we actively tell stories.
Uh-huh.
So I have a videographer in the Philippines. He has a team, and he's actively looking for people to make videos about. And they're not all dramatic like that,
Mm-hmm.
but some of them are. And so then they send them to me, and I see them, and we make videos about them.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
It's really cool. Kind of going back to your inner journey as an entrepreneur, it seems like a pretty smooth ride. But were there rough moments? And what was your darkest moment between when you started and now?
Business-wise, it's been pretty good. It's been pretty smooth. My wife's bed rest, where I feared losing my wife, was a pretty dark moment. 5 years ago, I had early onset dementia. It was really bad.
Wow.
And one day when I asked, we were developing this product, and my job is like, how is this going to work? And I sent an email and said, how are we delivering this? And people were like, we don't know. That's your job. And we were really far into this, and I hadn't even thought about it. That was a really dark time for me. I'm way worse than I thought I was, my brain. And I started making all kinds of changes. Today I'm really good. I've made all kinds of changes. And so pitfall, I mean, like, my struggles have been few.
It's hard to complain about a business that's grown at least 50% year over year for 18 years.
And it grows despite me. Yeah, it grows. Which is and our biggest source of people is word of mouth. I mean, we do all kinds of stuff.
Yeah.
We do SEO, and we do paid ads, and we do Facebook marketing, and we do social media, and we do all these things. It's hard to track.
Yeah.
For us, our conversion cycle's not fast. We're asking you to hire someone full-time.
Yeah.
Or part-time, whatever. Bring on some staff. The conversion cycle's long.
So we'll close out with this question, and then we can let you plug anything you want to the end. But if you could go back and tell John Jonas in 2007 anything, 10 words or whatever, if you could distill the lessons down, what would you say?
My biggest thing is, like, hire someone.
Yeah.
Right? Because I had people working for me, but hire more.
Yeah.
It's so easy and so effective.
Hmm.
And then from 2007 is when I started realizing add value to people's lives.
Hmm.
And I would tell myself that better. Don't take shortcuts. Just add value to people. There are some specific internal things to online jobs that we've worked for years to figure out. Like I talked about apply points. It took us years to get that right. If I could tell myself in 2007, like, hey, build apply points like this.
Yeah.
Wow, that would be really awesome, right?
Yeah.
But otherwise, just add value to people's lives, and things will work out.
Love it. So tell us about your book and your podcast, and then is there anything else you'd like what's the first step if somebody wants to get started?
Yeah. So the book is, I didn't write it.
Smart.
I mean,
Hired it.
yeah, but it's really good.
Yeah.
Outsourcinglever.com.
Nice.
And it's about how and why and culture and stuff we've talked about today. It's
Yeah.
really good. The podcast is an interesting story. I was convinced by someone to start a podcast. This is Russell, which we talked about.
Russell Brunson, for those listeners.
Russell Brunson convinced me to start a podcast.
Yeah.
And I was like, I don't want to do a podcast, but fine. And so I start recording these episodes. They're super short because we were doing the newsletter. I was already creating the newsletter, and then like, I only have so much time to create.
Mm-hmm.
So I used the newsletter to create the podcast, start recording the podcast. And one day I was like 30 episodes in. I decided I could also make these as videos, put them on YouTube. And so I sat myself in front of my webcam and read my script for the podcast and published a video. And every single one since then, like 400 more episodes. I've gotten better at it. I'm not reading a script anymore on video. Well, like I'm like looking down at, like I'm not looking at the camera. I've gotten a lot better at it, but to do to make that leap from podcast to video took zero from me. In fact, doing the podcast, I knew all I have to do is talk, and I click stop and upload the videos somewhere, and someone edits them and someone publishes. I don't know how we publish the podcast. I don't actually know.
Mm-hmm.
Someone publishes them and someone transcribes them, and they get published on my blog, and they get published to the podcast, and the transcriptions and the links and the videos and YouTube and all that stuff gets taken care of for me. Right. So the podcast, how do I tell you the podcast? I don't know.
It's what's it called again?
The Secret Sauce of Outsourcing is the name of the podcast.
It's got this handsome mug on it.
And it's available wherever, I hope. Yeah. It should be, right? I don't actually know.
I mean, we're going to, have to follow up with your team if it's not.
If it's not available, then yeah, I have some problems, right? I need to say something to my team.
But knowing your team, it probably is.
It probably is, yeah. And so the real thing, like if you're interested in hiring people,
yeah,
go look at ofsguide.com.
Okay.
It's the top 9 questions I get asked and really, really short, concise answers to them. It's like a 4-minute thing that will point you in the right direction. It's called OFS Guide, not VA Guide, because I don't like the word VA. VA has a connotation of secretary. And who I'm hiring is not a secretary. And who you want to hire is a specialist, someone who's really good at stuff. And so I call them online Filipino specialists, OFS, because it's not, VA isn't a good descriptor of what we do.
Hopefully that becomes the like go-to.
That's what I would love. I would love for it to be.
I'm shipping that. I will do my best to make that happen before
OFS.
Either of us
specialists. Yeah.
Perfect.
So ofsguide.com. That's a really good place to start.
Cool. Sweet. Thanks so much, John.
Yeah. Thanks for having me.
Yep. And OnlineJobs.Ph as well will be in the description if you guys just want to get started there.
That's really great tip.
Thank you so much for tuning into this episode of UtahPreneur. Before you leave, I've got 3 quick things, and I promise it'll be fast. Number 1, make sure to follow UtahPreneur on your social media platform of choice. We're there at either UtahPreneur or UtahPreneur Pod, and the links are always in the show notes. Number 2, if you enjoyed this episode, the best way to support us is to leave us a review, share it with a friend, or subscribe, or all 3. And lastly, you're really not going to want to miss our previous episode with Matt Smith, the co-founder of Project Solar. They've completely flipped the solar industry on its head by cutting out sales reps and making the price much more accessible, and there are some gems in that episode, I promise you. Thanks again. We'll see you next time.